Hey guys, so today I'll be sharing 4 of my favorite creepypastas with you. If you don't know what a creepypasta is, it's essentially a horror or scary story that is circulated across the internet, which may or may not be based on a true story. Just think of it like scary campfire stories for the digital age. By the way, we have a special guest today here with us. Amy's here to join. She wanted to be in the room with me. I hope that does not distract you. So let's get on with the video. Number 1 is Candle Cove. A person with the username SkyShale033 started an online chat room to ask other users about a low-budget television show that they remember watching as a child named Candle Cove. It supposedly aired in the early 70s and featured creepy puppets and marionettes. The user wanted to find out if anybody else remembered watching this particular show, as they watched it as a child and it gave them nightmares that they still live with to this day. They were baffled to discover that the other users also remembered watching this show and recalled some terrifying characters like Pirate Percy, the Skin Taker, and Horace the Horrible. The conversation gradually turned to the final episode, where all the users recalled a specific part where the puppets burst into horrific screams and noises, which left SkyShale033 and the other users in the forum severely traumatized. One user from the chat room named Mike Painter 65, after realizing that he wasn't the only one who experienced this, decided to confront his mother as to why he was ever allowed to watch such a terrifying show. His mother was surprised that he even remembered this and claimed that as a boy, he would announce to everyone exactly at 4 p.m. every day for 2 years that he will be watching his favorite pirate show, and then for 30 minutes he would go sit in front of a static television of dead air. Number 2 is The Other Watcher. A man once checked into a motel. After the receptionist handed him his key, she repeatedly let him know that on his way to his room, he will be passing by a room with no number on its door and that he should not try to enter it or even look inside. He obeyed the woman's rules on the first day, but by the second night, his curiosity was too much to bear. He then decided to look through the keyhole of the door, and with the help of the moonlight coming in through the window, he could see a very pale woman standing in the corner of the room facing the wall. He then returned to his room, and on the third night he decided to look through the keyhole again. This time he saw the color red, nothing else, just a constant deep shade of red. So he went back to the front desk to inquire more about the room, and after the receptionist made him promise that the information about the room would not be passed on, she said, "Many years ago a man murdered his wife in that very room and that her ghost now haunts it. The wife's skin was said to be very pale, except for her eyes, which were bloodshot red." Number 3 is Mr. Widemouth. A 5-year-old boy once fell very sick with a case of mono. Lying in bed all day, he quickly developed an imaginary friend who happened to have a white-mouthed grin to help him cope with his illness. He started enjoying the company of this imaginary friend, whom he named Mr. Widemouth, who became an escape from his boredom and loneliness. Mr. Widemouth, for the most part, kept him entertained, but soon he came up with some games that the boy could play, like leaping from the second story of his home or even juggling knives. Mr. Widemouth continued to suggest the boy to do all kinds of dangerous things, which luckily the boy kept declining. One of the strange activities that Mr. Widemouth asked the boy to do was follow him down a trail, which the boy also refused. Years later, after the boy became a young man, he decided to go back to that house and walk down that very path, only to discover that it led to a graveyard filled with children's tombstones. And number 4 is Annie96 is typing. One night, 2 friends named Annie and Dave were chatting online. Amidst their conversation, Annie96 suddenly sent a message to her friend Meg Davy, where she said that she could hear footsteps on the gravel outside her house. After a few back and forth texts with Meg Davy on deciding what she should do, since her parents were out of town and she was all alone in the house, she finally decided to investigate. She then spotted a man in her garden on his hands and knees who looked an awful lot like Davy. She then quickly messaged Devi asking him to stop trying to scare her as he was the only one who knew that she was alone. That's when Devi sent her a text asking her to lock herself up in her room and call the police, and even sent her a geolocation of himself proving that he was at his own house. She then quickly hid in her closet and sent a message to Devi letting him know that she could hear a man enter the house. Annie kept crying and begging Devi for help when suddenly her texting style completely changed. She then started telling Devi that she is completely fine and happy and without any fear. Devi, skeptical and terrified, asked her to send a selfie to ensure that she was really okay. All Devi saw after that was the text Annie96 is typing appear on the chat screen for a few seconds, after which she suddenly went offline. I hope this video gave you the creeps and a lot of goosebumps. If you want more creepy videos, please let me know in the comments below, and if you watched this far, comment red. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.